Right, let's get a move on then and focus in on what the outlook is when it comes to the demand for used cars. Is that here to stay? Are the entry-level hatchbacks in demand? Let's find out from Amit Kumar. He's the CEO at OLX Autos India. Amit, good to have you on board now. What was the festive season like? Did it pan out as expected? And would you say that demand for used cars is now here to stay?
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on the show. Used cars have rebounded pretty well in the post-lockdown era. I think in the initial phase, when the lockdowns got lifted, we saw a faster recovery on demand compared to supply. But when it came to the festive season, if we compare September, October 2019 to 2020, we saw almost 145% incremental demand compared to where we were in the previous year. So clearly, the used cars have done pretty well, and there are some core solid underlying post-pandemic changes which are responsible for this. First change is that in the post-pandemic, post-lockdown time, people are resisting use of shared mobility and public transport. People want to travel in safe confines of their own. And secondly, due to economic uncertainty, which is probably here to stay for some more time, in those times, there is a gravitation towards used products, and in this case, used automobiles and cars.
Okay, and can you shed more light on the supply situation as people seem to be a bit unwilling to buy new cars? They are holding onto their old vehicles for the time being. Is that some sort of a hurdle that you're facing, and when do you see the overall supply situation easing up?
So the overall supply situation, and again, taking a trend from, let's say, the post-lockdown opening up, the overall supply situation has gradually improved. When we opened up, the supply was close to 90% of the pre-COVID Feb levels, and this is the time I'm talking about is June, July. So the supply gradually ramped up to around 110, 120% of pre-COVID levels, and right now where the supply stands is at around 120%. But the thing to notice here is that while the demand is at around 145%, the supply is at around 120, 125%. But overall, the used car industry has seen positive traction and momentum. But this widening gap of demand and supply has led to a couple of factors in the ecosystem. One is there is an increased price hardening on some of the top-selling models, like Swift Desire, i10. They can be anywhere between 7 to 10% more prices on these models. And secondly, the dealer ecosystem has benefited from this faster movement of used cars. So now you see the dealers who when started in the post-lockdown times, so they were sitting with more than 60% inventory. Right now, they are actually liquidating inventory much faster. Their inventory liquidation cycles have come down by 10 to 15%.
All right, so that gives us an indication somewhat as well. What about competition? We've seen global investors also come in. Does that only mean that the industry is going to grow even further, or do you see this as a reason for maybe more consolidation later? Which way do you see things evolving?
I think in India, we have a very large automobile market. Pre-COVID, this market was estimated around $25 billion, growing at a CAGR of 15+% on an annual basis. This market will expand faster in the post-pandemic times. And the shifts, again, are towards personal mobility, used cars being more preferred choice and economic uncertainty. So in the pre-pandemic era, where we would estimate the market at, let's say, around 4 million cars per annum, what is happening is that the life of a used car with a specific user is coming down. So earlier, somebody would retain a used car for around 7 years. Now that period has come down to 4 odd years. And what is responsible for this is a strong underlying resilient Indian economy and an aspirational middle class, which really wants the car to reflect its status. And in this context, what is going to happen is that the multiplier from new cars to used cars, which used to be around 1.3, that multiplier is going to expand, leading to a much faster growth in the used car industry compared to the new car industry. And as a result of this, what happens is that this whole segment and industry is going to expand. And this is a very, very large industry where there's going to be good competition and expansion of the industry, leading to better customer experience also. And that is the intent of us as OLX, building OLX Autos as a platform where we have brought our online and offline businesses together to cater to our consumer in an omni-channel manner.
Absolutely. Tell us also where you're seeing the maximum potential for growth, how you're expanding as well. Would it be metros, smaller towns, any particular category as well that perhaps you're seeing more traction in? What are you focusing on?
So when we started recovering from the lockdowns in the industry, the initial recovery was led by the non-metros and the non-millennials. The reason for that was that our agri economy actually recovered much faster than the metros. The impact of lockdown on the rural parts of the India was lesser compared to the urban parts of the economy, which almost came to a standstill. The agriculture was still going on there. And that's why you see that, in fact, tractors, etc., are also growing at a very, very good rate. But in last couple of months, given that now we are seeing almost 145% demand compared to the previous years, the metros have also caught up. And now we are seeing a sort of more uniform growth happening across sectors. In terms of specific segments of cars, I think given the economic uncertainty, the people still want to buy used cars, but their budgets have come down. Almost 50% of people in a survey that we did commented that they've reduced their budgets from where they were earlier. And we are also seeing a migration of demand a bit from the new cars to the used cars, again driven by the economic uncertainty. So these trends are likely to continue for foreseeable future, giving strength specifically to the used car industry. As far as our own plans are concerned, as OLX Autos, we've been around in the used car and classified space for more than a decade. And our classifieds platform today attracts close to 80% of the overall used cars being listed in this country. We get close to 20,000 cars listed on the platform and close to 1 million buyers for those cars on a daily basis. And in parallel, what we have built is an offline retail space, which we earlier used to call OLX Cash My Car. And this is our C2B offering where a consumer can walk in with his or her car and walk out with money. Now we've integrated all this under OLX Autos brand, and we've expanded to almost 100 plus retail centers, going to 130 in next couple of months. Our intent here is to create a full stack end-to-end car buying and car selling experience. A consumer can, with peace of mind, sell his or her car and buy a new used car from us with value-added services such as insurance, consumer financing, roadside assistance, etc. To reduce the friction points that exists in us buying a used car, which is always a unique SKU, and really creating an experience, a wow experience and a soulful experience for the consumer.
Amit, we'll let you go on that note. Thanks so much for joining in and giving us a sense as to how business is shaping up. Time for a quick break. Be right back with lots more.